brought to you by
the Patreon supporters of Crowdfunding Hell. Click on the link below in the description for this video and become a patron of Crowdfunding Hell. Well, just in time to cash in on the coronavirus hysteria, we have the Archon nasal mask, which is supposed to be an improvement on other masks currently in use in the medical field and used quite successfully in some cases all over the world. But remember, this is being crowdfunded, so it's got to be new, improved, and even better. As with so many things that even tangentially hit on the healthcare field, the idea behind this is that it's supposed to make you afraid. So afraid that you would seem to you and anyone else that the only thing that is between you and horrifying, debilitating, sudden death is this crowdfunded product. Something that has not existed before and would need to be manufactured. It's on Indiegogo, of course, a platform noted for not absolutely requiring working prototypes, but might have some very interesting photographs, as you'll see. Their story opens up with, our founder worked in the medical field, and over recent years, he witnessed a depressing and alarming increase in young patients with young cancer, many of whom never even smoked and had relatively healthy lives. Yeah, it's a pretty sad statement, and perhaps it's even true, but is this the product that would help them not necessarily have gotten that lung cancer? We don't know. We don't know what absolute factors went into it. But remember, they're implying that they can cure it or at least slow it down because they can control those factors. Let's move on. As with anything in the health-related fields, you're going to find that it costs an awful lot to get that material. As you can see here, $36, $41, another $41. But here's something to consider. They're saying they're going to deliver this thing by July of 2020. I strongly suspect you'll discover that that is not going to happen. Not the least of which is they're putting it out to countries that have very strong things like an FDA that's going to want to weigh in on whether or not this thing is really going to filter out the things that they're after. Now, I'm showing you the pricing here because you'll notice on that second one down, they talk about refill packs. As you've seen, they're quite colorful, and they're great if you're into Voldemort cosplay. And they ask you the question that you probably should be asking yourself, why wear masks? Because health matters. Now, your human dignity while wearing this obviously doesn't, but they tell you, once again, trying to make you afraid of something, that there is an invisible killer out there. Air pollution, causing 1.8 million deaths due to lung disease and cancer every year, and causing 2.4 million deaths due to heart disease every year. Now, I am a layman. I cannot absolutely question if they in fact got those statistics from the World Health Organization, but I can say this, isn't it obvious that, once again, fear is the key? It is something that they're trying to make you afraid of, and they have the solution for it. Yeah, again, these people dying from these things, maybe air pollution is a contributing factor, but I seriously doubt that it was the only contributing factor. Now here is where they go into something that I've noticed in an awful lot of campaigns. They are going to try to overwhelm you with facts and figures that may or may not be totally or even entirely accurate. On average, we breathe between 8,000 and 11,000 liters of air every day. This air passes directly into our airways, lung, and body. I should hope to kiss a frog that that's exactly what it happens, because I, for one, know that if I can continue breathing, I generally am going to stay alive. Now, here we get into generalization. For those living in many countries suffering from air pollution, dangerous air pollutants are continuously killing people slowly and silently. Yeah, they're trying to make it sound like we're living in the equivalent of, I guess, phosgene gas from World War I. Is it true? Maybe. I don't know. And frankly, most of you listening to this don't know either. But again, fear is the key. They're trying to make you afraid for your life against something that, well, you may or may not be able to guard against. Here you see that they're going to cover all the bases in their fear-mongering with this statement. So, although most urgently needed in those countries that struggle with chronic urban air pollution or intermittent forest fires, there is need for protection in every country. They covered all the bases. They covered the urban areas, and they covered the country areas as well, with things that people are running into, but is it really as bad as they're claiming? And again, they cite the World Health Organization, the shocking statistic that 91% of city dwellers in the world are breathing unsafe air, and that 7 million people die each year from air pollution. And again, is air pollution the sole factor that caused those people to die? It could have been a contributing factor, but we don't know, and certainly they're not going to tell you. Fear-mongering at its worst. But think a minute. 91% of city dwellers are breathing unsafe air. So those people who are living in cities and are breathing the air and have done so their entire lives, why aren't they just simply dropping like flies in the street? Ask yourself questions like this when you get into these prognoses. Is it in fact accurate? Where can you go to really check that? And now we get into the selling pitch of why they are a game changer. That's their term. For the general public, there are many masks on the market, ranging from simple surgical masks to N95 type masks. What's wrong with them and why are we different? In other words, they have acknowledged that, well, if you really want a mask, there's several that are on the market. Why in the world do we need their mask? Let's find out. Oh, they do it with illustrations. Isn't that nice? What are the health needs? They give you 4. What are the problems with using the existing masks? Now, I understand something for it right now. That doesn't mean the existing masks are not effective. They just want you to use their Archon mask. And they give you some rather spurious reasons why under that problems heading. And then let's take a look at their solution. Well, they don't cover the mouth. The face is cool and dry. You can eat and drink unhindered. Your speech is clear. Well, that's kind of questionable, because if you look at the masks they have in an operating room where clear speech is probably very, very important, I don't think that that's necessarily happening, that the speech is muffled or hard to understand. if you want to be a flashing plate when you're trying to do Voldemort, well, I guess this is one thing that it will do. That it doesn't fog, maybe. Hygienic and washable, it's eco-friendly, that wonderful set of buzzwords that you find in crowdfunding. And of course, they claim to have quality assurance. Remember that I talked about how they were going to give you extra filters earlier based on their ads and the prices involved? Highlighting something that comes up later, who is it for? It's not suitable for predominant mouth breathers. They're going to have supposedly clean air going strictly into your nose, whereas many activities we do involve both nose and predominantly mouth breathing. Stuff like, running, walking, anything that tends to exhaust you. This is a quandary for me. How in the world is this so effective, and yet it leaves 50% of the places where the air is intaked into your body uncovered and unfiltered? They take their work seriously and they deliver quality, they say. Extensive real subjects testing. Where, how, who, they don't tell you. But here's one, vigorous certifications and standards. We'll get to that in a moment too. And here we are. They have a whole bunch of product certifications listed here. Let's enlarge one of them and see exactly what it is and what makes it such a wonderful thing to have, and find out if any of them say anything about being certified or tested by the FDA. Now, I will say this, their product packaging and so forth is very attractive. But here is something that I said we'd get to from earlier. Refill filters and sponges packaging. This doesn't really make sense to me, and I'll tell you why. If this thing can be cleaned, as they point out, utilizing water, I guess some sort of soap and so forth, as they point out at the bottom of the summary of key benefits, why in the world do I need more filters? Why in the world would I need the extra things that they're trying to sell me on? And they sell it to you, of course, separately. Kind of like, having a computer printer, but you only have to buy the ink from that one place. Now, in their frequently asked questions, there's one very intriguing thing. The mask does not cover the mouth. Is that a problem? Since most of us breathe through the nose, very little air is actually breathed in through the mouth. As a layman, I'm going to say categorically, that is probably not true. I've found times when I've been breathing through my nose and then unconsciously, then later, breathing through my mouth. So, that really is something that bothers me. Are they a game changer? I don't know. But I can guarantee you that this is not as effective as a standard mask, whatever problems you might have with a standard mask. This is a multicolored gimmick. And as a consequence, I would advise you, in my opinion, that you should stay far, far away from it. The campaign only recently hit Indiegogo. You can see that from the total number of pledges. I would suspect that it's not going to have very many, if any at all, in that flexible goal of only $515 by the time the 40 days is up.
Brought to you by
YouTube, which reminds you to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified of any new videos that come out on Crowdfunding Hell. Also, the Crowdfunding Hell Prison Workshop. You too can own something that has been fashioned lovingly by the gnarled hands of our inmates.